You're with GP3 on Rocky Mountain Live, back for your second groovy hour of sounds. Hope you enjoyed that first hour. That electronic set was fun and had a good time putting it together. Come and join the show. You're with GP3 on Rocky Mountain Live. Rocky Mountain Live with GP3. We're here talking about the vibe, the frequency, the energy that a killer bass line or a perfect melody puts out into the world. But what if we could tune into the frequency of reality itself to understand the deeper rhythms of consciousness and the ancient patterns that shape our world? My next guest is a master of reading those scores. He's a philosopher and a seeker who explores everything from Plato to the hidden architecture of our modern myths. He's here to help us find the signal through the noise. Family, give it up for our Wayne Steiger.
Hey Greg, how you doing?
Hey!
It's like I'm so humbled by that. It's like,
Oh,
yeah, they're talking about me. But yeah, hey,
yeah,
how are you doing? And thank you for having me on.
I'm doing great. And it has been a journey to get to this moment. We've been planning
Mm.
this podcast for quite a little time here. And yet there must not have been a more perfect time than now. We're in the middle of transition. And Wayne, you are a part of the Woodstock timeline, and you've been around the music world with awareness of its effects on society. With questions like, who's the May Queen? Is there a real stairway to heaven? And in the great lyrics of the who are you? Your work often explores consciousness and narrative. How does music function as the soundtrack for our soul's journey? And are there specific artists or genres you feel are channeling the current planetary energies most powerfully?
Wow, great question.
Mm.
Yes, music is the magic. For myself, I am a product of that generation. My cousin, um, she actually went to Woodstock and brought back and turned all the cousins on, and but music has always been the underlying force to all that. And the late 60s, early 70s were a time of transition, a time of turmoil. Um, I lived in the Montrose area in Houston, which was where the counterculture was. And at the age of 15, being on my own, you're out in the big bad world. And I can say literally the music is what drove me in so many different directions. And as I'm talking, Greg, I'm back in the Sam Houston Coliseum, 1970,
Mm.
seeing the Allman Brother Band, and Dwayne
Wow.
Allman is sitting right there in front of me with that big freaking red mustache of his, and Dickie Betts. So those are the
Right.
things that have always guided me. And in the deepest pain, because when you're 15, 16, you're trying to figure out the world. I mean, you're around adults who you learn very quickly they don't know what the hell they're doing either.
Mm.
Um, but it was the music that was the glue. And there were many of us. Many of us were on this journey, and that music, that vibe, that energy is what kept us together. Unlike even
Mm.
today, we had something back then. And I'll just say this, we weren't ashamed to say love. You
Yeah.
know, now love had many different interpretations, but it was still love. And it was the common denominator where you could meet a stranger and say peace. And like, love was the next thing. And most likely you were smoking a joint. So anyway, I don't know if that answered the question, but it was fun.
Right. Well, it truly does because what I've noticed, even just being involved with as a musician and in radio, that what we're doing is we're getting a societal mirror reflection that's in constants where the music is reflecting the times, is reflecting the soul development, is reflecting the personal human development. And I've often wondered, and I've declared and proclaimed this on the FM show, was that these sounds are having a direct impact into your life. What I've tried to do is put them in a flow that helps aggregate the mind's ability to move through space and time without triggering with inflow. And there is a self-acceptance issue in there to try to get into uncovering the person relative to music. And I've noticed that, at least in my scenes within the jam band and the electronic scene, they both have a different flavor of activity. That in the jam band side, that you're seeing a lot of people kind of reverting back to the simplicity of what you stated, which we were together, we were having this experience. Yes, we had kind of put ourselves in that position. You know, tell us a little bit about some of the experiences that you might have had experiencing in music, you know, maybe at an event where the light and the dark are playing out, and you can see how that is affecting, you know, where the people are going to land and leave the event.
And there's a question, as you were talking, I was thinking of Jimmy Page. You know, Jimmy brought to the world the occult. You know, he
Yeah.
was the extension of Aleister Crowley. And we didn't know that at the time. But if you listen, particularly like with Led Zeppelin 1, I mean, that is
Hmm.
some heavy, heavy stuff. And in my generation, that was always typically associated with an hallucinogenic of some
Hmm.
sort. And you would go on trips and the music itself would open up new doors of consciousness that you hadn't even thought about.
Right.
And I can remember seeing Black Sabbath, you know, that was like the second or third band that I'd actually really saw. And it was real interesting. They had Blood Rock was the opening act. You know, Blood Rock had that song called DOA. Now
Yeah.
that was really a bummer, man. I mean, if you're listening, it's about a dude dying, you know, and yet it's wrapped within rock and roll,
Right.
and it's that huge whiplash thing that you know you can be so freaking down here, then the next thing you're up over here. So that
Right.
was part of that whole thing, and I
Mm.
was fortunate. At 16, I got to work for Concerts West, so I was a roadie for
Wow.
about 6, 7 months and
Yeah.
got to see all the bands. I mean, you name them. And what I found out as I look back, they were in it just like I was. We weren't really sure what was going on,
Mm.
but the music was kind of the pathmaster, you
Yeah.
know, and that would open up into so many different genres beyond that. I mean,
Mm.
yeah.
Hmm.
I'm
I had a
trained classically in music, so it
oh.
was always something for me because I understood music from, you know, I would say as a purist, I was trained in the clarinet, the bassoon, and subsequently the flute. So there was this appreciation. So yeah, anyway, I
Right.
digress.
No, that is, yeah, that to be able to speak from a musician's perspective about how we write a score and about how the
Mm,
song is unfolding. And I've had this conversation with several key artists along the way when it came to their challenge of light and dark within their own realm as a player on stage, and how that how being a contrast giver is a different position of awareness than being simply a receiver, or even I guess you could act as transmitter, but that when we're looking at how this music is affecting the lives of our lives and how it's affecting the lives of others, we take a deeper reflection as to what that effect is. I've noticed a lot in the jam band side more specifically because the electronic side has its own dark dirges and realms. But
yeah.
on the jam band side, you're still getting people that are coming together for natural organic instrumentation play. And it produces, I've noticed that are able to get contrast, and it's maybe not so hard as the listener, but as the player you're going through mass amounts of inner turmoils and inner energies of processing, and then you're still having to, you know, give this delivery to the people so that it's done in a way that there is that response reflection that you like, you know. And they are looking at the content of what they're playing, and I'm noticing an uprise in the level of the quality of content when it comes to how we look at ourselves in this timeline. And I'm like, I've been so impressed with that. But going back to Page, because Led Zeppelin specific, anyone who has vibed with Led Zeppelin has inevitably heard the lyrics. The lyrics have gotten in somehow. And I've noticed I've resonated with a lot of Led Zeppelin songs actually on my journey. Maybe a little Platonian, but the hero's journey for sure. When you hear Going to California, and when you hear, of course, there's the Stairway to Heaven, and these aspects, especially coming from a mm, Christian religious music background where I was really simply into it because I wanted to see the healing aspect. I'm looking for the music that's bringing this up to the people, something that's going to cause their mind to be able to take that safe reflection and be able to produce now the new results of that, but in positive light. I guess positive or negative, at least the intention is has got some driven force that's going to be better for us, maybe a learned aspect. What you say?
Mm, yes. My mind was going in several different aspects because the exposure that it was all kind of new. I was a real fan of 10 Years After. Met Alvin Lee, still say he's probably one of the best guitarists out there, underrated. Um, and, particularly with 10 Years After music, which was heavily blues influenced. And there was that message in there, well, I think what Alvin was trying to write was he was in the midst of his own dark journey of the soul. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
50,000 miles beneath my brain. If you listen to that one,
Mm,
it's really, and as I'm thinking, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I mean,
yeah,
that was like watching an opera of a deep mystical sense. I mean, if anyone ever saw their shows,
right.
and so we're as a generation, we're being hit with all this newness, this new interpretation, this new vibe. I say that when man learned to put electricity to the string instrument, it opened up a whole new realm of the gods. I think the
I
gods have
agree.
been waiting for eons for us to get back there. I don't think
Mm,
rock and roll is original to us. I think it probably 10, 20,000 years ago they were
mm,
digging the same sand. And it's
yeah.
kind of like what John Lennon said, when they asked him, well, where do you get your music? And he said, many times he says, it's like I'm plugging into something. Someone's telling me the words.
Mm.
And the occultist side of me going, all right, I know what the freak's going on here. Um, and as a result, you look at culturally, what did the Beatles do to our generation, the boomer generation? Well, it is so powerful, it's still impacting 4 or 5 generations later.
Mm,
And we have all these tributaries that have spun out of that. So
mhm,
that tells me that it had to be cosmological of the gods
mm.
because it's lasting. It has reverberation. And now you have new generations who are maybe not even aware of the music itself, but yet they're very much aware of the energy and the vibe.
Right. Yeah, and I'm noticing on my last run through Denver's electronic music scene and a lot of involvement that I had there with a festival, there was something to be seen indeed. Each each genre maybe produces its own kind of class of people, but Um, whereas one side of the music world was more to live in a joyful celebration and peace, the other side was actually trying to get something. And it took a minute to figure out maybe what what energies were managing a
Hmm.
situation, and maybe where we do get a little bit about where darkness lays and where the light is shining. I don't know. The contrast is still continuing. But I am seeing a lot of electronic artists now moving over to more positive self-wholeness, aspects. So I'm seeing one side of the world in music speak into messaging and speak to challenging but lifting. And I'm seeing another side speak to tell you who you are and to put you in a place.
Mm.
And that might go to a little bit of Plato's activity in your part.
As you were just saying that, it's interesting because, from my Christianity, in which, I left the religion over a decade ago. But
Mm-hmm.
isn't it interesting how worship, praise, music plays a central role? And it's designed to basically neutralize the negativity that we carry in this world into an environment where it's uplifting, edifying,
Right.
and music is the way that that's done.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
And you think about how many musicians out there that had this spatial awareness. Some, it was just rock and roll. It was
Right.
music. It was the stardom, all the thing that went. There were others who were deep philosophers. I think, I
Yeah.
think spiritually, they did not profess a religion because they didn't need one. They
Right.
brought one with them, and that was the music itself
Yeah,
and their
the
message.
movement. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was their movement. I mean, if you were a Zepp fan, you may not be another band, another type of band's favorite. You might have locked into the messaging somehow. And
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a
Well,
huge Steely Dan fan, and
me
but
too.
yeah, it is. Um, and the interesting thing, the most enlightened souls I have met are the ones that have a completely eclectic understanding and appreciation of music. And music isn't just one particular
Mhm.
level. It's if it's anything, it's interdimensional.
Yeah. Oh, I believe that. And the more that the gnosis is coming online, the more I'm convinced that we are actually in a nine-dimensional space that had a blockage, something that got in the way to stop the flow. And I'm
I
kind of
believe
still
that.
thinking, I'm still thinking that the artistry and the musicianship of today has an opportunity to continue to be breakthrough artists on behalf of humanity and
Oh,
help
yeah.
assist the frequency attack, if you will, to pop veils, to release stuck, flowed energy on behalf. I know dancing does that, and dancing was a big part of how my Kundalini and third eye activation occurred in '92. And it came through the Grateful Dead scene, not through religion. And so looking back
I
at the
came on the
journey
dance
about
floor with Disco. Karen was her name.
all right. That was my mom. She did go to the World Tour in Detroit.
Uh, hey,
But I was
listen, I
disco.
like the disco era. It was
Me
it
too.
was it was a lot of fun, a lot of sex, and a lot of
Yes.
it was just that's what it was. It was kind of just, kind of let it hang out and let the music kind of drive you. But yeah. And it
Right.
recycles itself, it in different genres and different ways. But anyway, it was a lot of fun.
Well, Mr. R. Wayne Steiger, I want to thank you so much for being on Rocky Mountain Live with us, giving us an insight and a perspective that allows the human mind to take the coitus and mature and grow. So we appreciate your time today, and we're going to get on with the music. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're with GP3 on Rocky Mountain Live, Khen 106.9.
Bicycle, bicycle, bicycle. I want to ride my bicycle, bicycle, bicycle.
Rocky Mountain Live with GP3 on Khen 106.9, your favorite electronic and jam band groovy hour. Here again on our second hour, bringing in the latest from the bands that we love. Hey, everybody, we've been digging the new Spafford out there. They have really tuned up their sound to the degree that we're going to open up the set with a little bit from them on tour, going into a little bit of Umphreys, a little bit of Widespread, dropping down into Dogs in a pile, kicking butt out there. Hey, have you been noticing a lot of weird stuff happening out there? Have you been taking account of how do these things happen? Yeah, that quantum mentality of awareness is definitely what we're looking for, mainly because of detoxing the program, right? All right, because everyone has built their ideas on a program that was already fouled that we're here cleaning up, and you're a part of that deal. Yeah, this is all about you. Are you awake? Are you aware? Have you stepped into this kind of awareness of unconditional love godhood that you are. Yeah, God within, you know. We all know this one now. All right. So what we do is we bring on these amazing artists to help jar our mind and our spirit so that we can break the cuckolding or the detoxing programs that we have in place right now towards the thing that brings everything back into your life and positivity. I've been doing this for quite a while. The Jamband Hour was more than just a fun experience for GP3. It meant that we were going to have an opportunity to bring new messaging into the system, and took great risks to talk about some of the things that we've shared on the show so that you can be at your highest self right now in awareness towards the kind of thing that we would put our minds to. And we all know that helping produce this is music. Music is the harmonic spheres, is the tone, is the harmony or the dissonance that we're experiencing in this life. And so when we're dealing with the harmony of the spheres, we look to actually reset ourselves into a harmony that is coherent with the source coding of awareness and that which we do and do not do in source. So we had to do it through the music channel to clean this mess up. The best way to do it, Jamband dancing. That's right. We get our butts moving a little bit and realize that we're energy in motion in a toroidal field. Things that are stuck can be moved out. And hey, if you know how to use light language, which we call tongues, if you know how to use that tool and that skill set, that gift can actually move energies that were not supposed to be there off. And then you can take a reflection about why that got there. You know, we got to look at our lives a little here so that we can clean up our fun when we meet all together, right? So this is what we do. We take this account, we go within first, not pointing out, and we take subject focus about what it is that's coming up actually. You know, this is a mirror reflection location, planet Earth, and it happens fast. It happens so fast that if you forget about it, you'll go down the road of it and not realize you've forgotten again. So the call to remember is on, and the best way to do that is to bring in sounds and lyrical content that keeps us in place of our center soul self so that we have no game to play and we do not use the false authority aspects to maneuver people beyond the scope of where they really should be in heart coherence. So here we are on the show doing it, and we've got some great music. We're loving Spafford, so we're going to open up with it. Here's your heart's content. You're with GP3 on Rocky Mountain Live, Khen 106.9.
before. Laid you on this pillow on the
come on with you. Oh, to tell your mom, your dad, I'm a little schoolboy too. Come on now, pretty baby. You know I never do you no harm. So young and pretty. Just take your old mom. Come on now, little girl.
Live with GP3, completing a wonderful gift for your ears, my friends, as you go into your weekend and enjoy together the times of sequence where all great manifestation brings in the wonder, the light, and the music in the sound together, friends. And so we bid you adieu, and we remember that every week, Rocky Mountain Live with GP3 gives a little more to the equation, a little punch factor for y'all ambitions of just being you, the best you that you could ever be. We also like to thank all that supports Khen Radio, our proud sponsors, and all the things that have really given a lot so these frequencies can get into your ears and into your life. Remember, this comes at a little bit of the good stuff. Yeah. All right. So, we'll be back again, and we'll treat you like we love ya because you're in it to win it for y'all inner self-being. You're with GP3 with Rocky Mountain Live on Khen 106.9.
This 11-year FM radio host cracked the code to YouTube growth for niche music shows. I fell down this rabbit hole and found this YouTube channel called Rocky Mountain Live with GP3, and honestly, I'm obsessed. This guy's been doing FM radio for 11 years and somehow cracked YouTube growth with the most specific niche ever. Picture this. Starseed awareness and spiritual awakening content, then transitions into the dankest electronic music, finishing with Jamband touring acts. Like, who combines those three things? But here's the plot twist. It's actually working. While everyone's trying to appeal to literally everyone on YouTube, GP3 is doing the complete opposite. He's doubling down on being weird and hyper-specific. He even has this portable studio for interviewing artists at festivals. So authentic. But here's what blew my mind. This man has been consistent for over a decade. Same weekly time slot every single week for 11 years. That's not chasing viral moments. That's building real relationships. The breakthrough isn't copying GP3's format. It's finding your own weird intersection of passions and fully committing to it. Stop trying to be everything to everyone. Be something very specific to exactly the right people. Show up consistently and they will find you. Sometimes the most successful strategy is just being unapologetically yourself in the most specific way possible.